Welcome to my Texas workshop. I'm Randy Lammers.
I'm Aaron Keevan.
This is Würth Knowing. What fasteners should you use to connect materials to pre-existing concrete and masonry? Today's episode is on mechanical anchors, and we want to welcome Keith Barrett from Würth Construction Services. Keith, welcome to Texas, all the way from Tampa, Florida.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Keith. Thanks for coming down. So we've done an episode on anchor bolts.
Roadshow!
That's right. We were in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we talked about anchor bolts that are put in before your concrete is poured. These are a little bit different. So explain to us how mechanical anchors are actually used, Keith.
You would use mechanical anchors to install in products into masonry.
Okay.
So it could be concrete, it could be solid block, it could be hollow block.
Okay. Even brick?
Even brick.
Even brick.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
All right. So I see a lot of steel here. We know that steel is very common for mechanical anchors. So tell us about the materials that we usually see these made out of and the finishes that we see.
Okay. You normally see steel. You also see stainless steel, so you'd see it in a 302 stainless or a 316 stainless.
Okay.
For the finishes, you would have zinc plating.
Right.
You could have electro and mechanical galvanized.
Okay. I also see a blue screw here, so I know that's a dip spin
That is
finish. So
correct.
if you haven't already, make sure you watch our episode on fastener finishes where we do cover electroplating, we cover hot dip galvanized, mechanical galvanizing, and we cover dip spin finishes and others. So make sure you watch our episode on finishes. That's very important.
Ties it all back together. This looks
It
very
does.
much like a PTFE is what I would
It
call
does
that,
look
so.
like a PTFE.
So now we know a little bit about the materials and finishes. What types of anchors do we have here?
Okay. This is a wedge anchor.
Okay.
This is a sleeve anchor.
Okay.
You have a masonry screw right here. You have a screw bolt.
Okay.
You have a drop-in anchor.
All right.
And then this one right here is commonly called a SAMI. It's for hanging all-thread rod vertically.
Okay.
Okay, so, and there are other types of anchors. This is what you brought to showcase today, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So I think the best way to really, rather than stand here and talk about it, let's demonstrate installation of each one and then talk about the particulars as we demonstrate. So let's go to the demonstration table and do that.
Okay.
You ready?
That's perfect.
Okay, come
All
on.
right. Let's go.
We have a nice little setup here. We've brought in a concrete block that we bought at the local home center for our demonstration today. So Keith, I understand it really all starts with the hole and getting a drilled hole correctly in this concrete block. So tell us a little bit about that. What tools do I need? Can I take my screw gun and put holes in this?
That old thing.
Actually, you're right. You know, the first thing that you're going to need a tool.
Okay.
Recommend using a hammer drill.
All right.
Okay, and depending on what size anchor that you're using, on the box itself will actually tell you the diameter of the hole that you're going to need.
Okay.
It's also going to tell you the minimum embedment that you're going to have.
Okay.
So embedment, where do we need to be at with, say, a wedge anchor, typically?
You're going to have so that the threads are at least totally engaged into the concrete itself.
Okay.
To use the mechanism.
Sure. So that's in order for that to actually embed and actually wedge out, right? Expand. It's an expansion anchor.
Correct.
To actually set correctly.
That is correct.
Okay.
So one of the biggest things is making sure that the hole prep is correct.
Sure.
Okay, so you drill the hole, you clean the hole,
Okay.
and then you install the anchor to
Right.
the specifications for the.
So that cleaning process, it actually is a little more in depth, and you really have to go through a couple times to ensure that you have a nice clean hole so that everything will fit correctly.
All right, let's do this. Grab the tool that you brought with you today,
Okay.
and let's look
It's a
at
hammer
that.
drill, right?
That is correct.
All right.
Nice looking hammer drill.
Okay.
What do we have here? So you have a depth gauge, I see, too.
Yep, we have a depth gauge, and this way it'll actually show you how deep so that you can make sure that the anchor is installed correctly.
Yep.
Okay.
And when you're installing the anchor, one of the things that you're going to have to worry about is how deep or how high your attachment is going to be to the concrete.
What you're projecting above the concrete.
That is correct, and you're going to have to take that into consideration.
Okay, all right. Okay, so that's in consideration. My thickness of material, today we're going to start with this first one, use a 2x4.
Yep.
So my thickness of material, so we've chosen an anchor for that. And then it's really then about taking a hammer drill.
And the correct bit.
Ah.
Okay, so we have on here, we have a...
Can't use any bit.
Can't use any bit. So we have a carbide bit on here.
Right.
So you couldn't use a high-speed jobber length drill bit.
Right. I noticed it has a little bit different flute, on this front side here, the point, I'm sorry.
Yep.
So that point is not like your typical drill where you drill through wood or metal. This actually has a much flatter surface to it.
Yep.
Masonry bit.
Yep.
So, okay, all right. And then the diameter of the bit is critical too, because if you drill too large of a hole, you're not going to get the pull-out strength. If you drill too small of the hole, then it's not going to go in and set right either.
That is correct. And that's always on the outside of the box. Depending on what anchor that you're buying, will tell you what drill bit you need to use.
Okay,
with
very
diameter.
good. All right, let's drill a hole.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we have a hole.
next step, I
We got
gotcha.
a lot of dust.
I'm going to carry that, put this over here, and now we need our cleaner.
Okay, so now you got to blow out the hole.
Okay.
And it's critical to get this dust out of the hole, right, in order to get proper set?
That is correct.
Okay, proper set and proper pull out.
Didn't know it's going to be so dusty, did you?
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. I'm glad it's you.
But seriously, folks, if you've got all of that dust still down in that hole, you're not going to get the frictional forces that you really need for that anchor to expand and hold properly. So it's going to work against you. So it really is important to clean that dust out.
certainly is.
Okay. All right, and then we're going to do I think it's this one right here, Keith.
Okay.
We're going to do a wedge anchor
wedge
today.
Okay.
Need the wedge anchor and the hammer.
Ah.
So on the wedge anchor, the way it actually is the locking mechanism is that you have this sleeve. So as you actually tighten down on the nut against the substrate, this will actually go over the cone of the fastener.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's got there.
Expansion.
It's expansion.
Yep.
That's my trusted hammer. You've seen my trusted screw gun. This is my trusted hammer. I've had this hammer now going on 50 years, and I had to put my name on it. Here you go.
Thank
you
you.
get to use it.
You want go ahead and install it in?
Go ahead and install it.
Okay. You tap it in,
Okay.
and then you would use a torque wrench to go ahead and install this to the proper torque of what the manufacturer is calling out, which is also determined by the diameter of the anchor itself.
Right. And that's critical. We've talked about torque.
We've talked about torque.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
You've learned a lot about torque. Make sure you watch our episodes on torque.
Exactly right. And just as Keith pointed out here, really you need to look at those manufacturer recommendations for the anchors that you're using every single time. So.
And the other importance of that, we do teach you a lot about torque in order to set the right compression load. This one, what you want to be careful about is that you don't get some really strong man putting a lot of rotational force on this and turning that anchor into concrete. That actually will mess up your set. So it needs to be the actual right torque, the right exact load for the anchor that you're putting in the concrete.
Exactly
so
right.
that's an important one to know.
And this is a very strong anchoring system that you can use, so it gives you a lot of strength holding in your product.
Okay, and that's the wedge anchor.
Yep.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the other anchors.
Yeah, we've got a few more, so we'll
All
get
right.
the holes prepped and get us ready to go.
Let's get that done.
Okay.
We went ahead and drilled all of our holes the right size for the anchor that we know that we're going to be installing. So that's pre-done. So Keith, my next question is, what do I do? I have a wedge anchor right here that is, I guess, the most robust expansion anchor that we use.
That is correct.
Okay, so heavy applications. What if I have a light application, maybe in masonry or in
Hollow block.
hollow block? Concrete
Yeah.
block is very common, especially on walls. What type of anchor do I use there?
In that case, you would use a sleeve anchor.
Sleeve anchor. Okay, show us a sleeve anchor.
Okay, can you get the sleeve anchor?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay.
As a sleeve,
Now, one of the nice things is that, as you see on here, there's a hex head cap, or a nut,
right?
hex nut.
Hex nut.
So on this particular anchor, you can get it with multiple different styles of nuts. You can get an eggcorn, you can get with a regular finish nut.
Oh.
It can also come countersunk. So you can have a flat head on it, or a combo head, with a round head.
Okay, so a lot of different configurations for different projects.
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, one of the nice things also, as you can see, you have the sleeve on there.
Right.
It goes the whole way down so that you would have 360 degree of bearing surface.
Okay, so when that expands in the hole, in the concrete or the masonry, when that expands, it expands 360 degrees. That sleeve, that total sleeve expands.
Yes.
Okay.
And then as you can see, just like on the wedge anchor on the bottom, it's got the cone. So as you tighten down the nut, the sleeve actually goes over that,
Okay.
over the cone.
Okay. All right. So that then would even the load out 360 degrees and wouldn't give as much compression sidewall. Take a chance of busting out lightweight projects.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay. Very good. Then let's install that one and show how it's installed.
Okay. Can you give me?
Yep. We'll do a 2x4 piece. We have drilled the right
Yeah,
hole
that's
for this
again.
size.
We talked about that earlier, where you have to make sure you select the right length of sleeve product here, hollow sleeve product, because you want to ensure that it will meet up with whatever mating material you have.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. So you tapped that in
Just to get it out. And
just
then,
to get it down in there. All
then
right.
you would go ahead and you would tighten this down with a wrench,
Okay.
Okay.
and then it would secure to the
So as
substrate.
that nut tightens down, then that continues to expand, correct?
That
So
is
you got
correct.
Expansion at the end.
So you use these in railings.
Okay.
You can use it in hanging anything from on a masonry wall, on a concrete wall.
Okay. Now I've got a question for you that as I'm looking at this. Because I see your sleeve is actually in my 2x4 here, is that sleeve going to expand in that 2x4 also or is it just going to expand what's down here in the bottom?
It's going to expand what's on the bottom.
What's on the bottom? Okay.
That is correct.
It's just a question, observation that I saw. All right, so that is masonry applications, concrete block applications, but also works well in regular foundations.
That is correct.
Okay. All right, so let's go then to the next step. So what do you have over there, Aaron?
All right. Next one we've got.
Is the screw bolt.
There we go. The screw bolt.
Okay.
Now that just looks like a very interesting threaded bolt,
That is correct.
or what actually I'd call screw.
Now, a lot of times we had the blue masonry screw that was on the table earlier.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people have used that, and that's what they're familiar with. Okay. Sometimes it's known by the TAPCon. There's a lot of different names for it.
Correct.
Okay. This is a larger diameter,
All right.
and it's very similar type of thread pitch, and it's used just like a masonry screw.
Exactly.
Okay, so I've used the others to attach on the exterior, actually of my mother's home, a electrical box.
Yep.
And so I used that anchor, the small blue screw, to do that with. Worked very, very well. Held it very, very secure. But this would be for even something heavier than that.
That is correct.
Yeah, I can think of the application I've used these in when we put in uprights in warehousing. We use these at times.
And the nice thing is that you can remove these anchors. On the wedge anchor, you cannot remove it.
Right.
Unless you cut it off with a cutoff saw. Sleeve anchor, you can remove it. It just is a challenge. But this one right here, you can remove it and use it again.
Okay.
Okay. Now there is going to be how many times you can use it depends on what kind of concrete you're using and the application, but you can reuse this anchor.
Okay, let's install this one and show that.
Can you get me the impact?
Yep. Got impact drill here.
Oh, yeah. We're going to use this as a part we'll put down. You might want to turn it that way to give room.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That went down and actually
Well,
snugged up great.
these are a little different too. You know, we did have to worry about our torquing, our torque that we use on our wedge anchors. Here, once you hit seat flush, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So-
All right, so you can remove it. Let's see it. I want to see you
Okay.
remove it. Okay.
And then as you see on here,
Yeah.
look at the threads. The threads look
They look clean.
So it actually
You know what? I can see threads down in that hole.
actually cut into the thread. Yep.
That's really exciting stuff. I'm sorry. There's internal threads in this concrete block here. Okay, I'll put it back in. You know, I get excited about this kind of stuff, guys. Oh, yeah. Okay, you gonna leave some of these behind?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I'll take that back.
Okay, all right, so that's a great application. for that. Now that we're going to go to the next one, and I know I've seen these for many, many years. I've dealt with them for many, many years, and that has to do with then I want an internal thread. That made a nice internal thread, but I want a good internal thread for repeatable in and out capabilities. So what do we have for that?
Okay, we have two things that we're going to do. The first one's going to be a drop-in anchor. Okay. Now on the drop-in anchor, you can also use this vertical. So if you're hanging rod from the ceiling,
yes,
that you would actually install this anchor and you can hang rod from it.
Right. So these concrete tilt wall buildings, there's concrete on all walls.
All you have to do is look up and look at the fire sprinklers. Huge trade for fire sprinkler trades.
Okay, so what's this called? Grab that over there for us.
Yep. That's that drop in here.
Yep.
So drop-in anchor.
So here's a drop-in anchor. Okay, it's internally threaded, as you said.
Yep.
Okay, and as you see the slits on there.
Yes.
Okay, it'll have a mechanism in there. We're going to hit it with a hammer.
So we're going to mechanically set it.
That is correct.
Okay, so we're going to push that will actually push in a cone that will push out that sleeve kind of that's made like, or push out the bottom of the anchor.
Right.
It's not really a sleeve.
That is correct.
To push out the bottom of the anchor. Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and install it. Okay, so we're going to put that in.
Okay, you truly just drop it in.
Okay. Now, one of the problems with this anchor that for failure rate is it takes a tool called a drop-in anchor tool, setting tool.
A setting tool, all right.
Okay. Because if I were to get my piece of all thread
Right.
and go in and try to install this right now,
It's going to rotate on you.
go,
Yep.
I'm going to be able to pull it out.
Yeah.
And imagine this is overhead.
Oh. No. Okay. All right. So setting this properly is critical to the installation.
That is correct.
Got it.
Okay.
Importantly, remember that, guys.
Okay. So here's the setting tool. Okay.
Now, does this come in the box?
No, this does not come in the box.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to get this extra.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So if you know you're putting in drop-in anchors, then that's absolutely mandatory. I would assume that most salespeople will ask the customer, have you also have the setting tools?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's critical. All right.
Okay, so you go in, you just hit it with a hammer.
And so what's happening in this is very similar to what we kind of see on the ends of just the opposite, right? So you're forcing that material to expand at the bottom with the kind of those tongues at the end.
Giving you an internal compression load.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So now we have that.
Okay, so now we're gonna go in and we put in the all thread rod.
Just takes a second.
Yep.
There it is.
And there you go.
Okay.
All right.
So now I have an internal thread. So be it an all thread rod, maybe I wanted to just put a hex head cap screw through something in there. Bottom line is I have metal internal threads in a piece of concrete.
Yep.
That I can do anything with.
That's right.
Seen that with blind or rivet
That's
nuts.
good. Okay, that's really, really good.
Rivet nuts in metal. Now we got it for, it's almost similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Internal threads for concrete.
All right, so that's pretty good size hole you had to drill there.
Yes. Okay, so that's a 3/8 anchor. We had to drill a 1/2 inch hole.
Yeah, pretty good size. Okay, but that really works very, very good in good concrete. Now, what if I want to do kind of almost the same application, but now I'm in lighter weight materials again?
Okay. We're gonna use what's called a Masonry screw.
Okay.
Okay.
What is a Masonry screw?
Okay.
All right, it looks like that screw then I used at my mom's house.
That's right. So it's got the masonry threads, and it's got the threaded part for the all thread rod on the top of it.
Okay, let me have that for a second.
Yes.
They really married the masonry screw and a nut into one component.
That's exactly right.
Oh, that's just too genius. Why do you think of things like that? Okay, here you go. Let's
And
see
just
all that.
like I was saying on the drop-in anchor here, you'd see this being used really on the fire sprinkler trade.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of trades that use it, but that's really the predominant one.
Okay.
You'd also see electricians using it too.
I would imagine.
So same
you would.
application, just different way of installing it.
That is correct.
Okay.
Can you hand me the?
Yeah, you need the direct drive here. This is Randy's old trusty drill. And
My 1980 screw gun.
I don't know where the briefcase is, but I'm sure it's close. Perfect.
Okay, all right, so that went down all the way. That's in there snug. That's That's that masonry screw
Yep.
going in there.
And
I had
now-
really good success with those. And
Just
then
like the
now-
other drop-in.
Yeah, well, basically, I've got a nut
same
in that's
thing.
secured to the top of my concrete.
And then there you can go ahead and hang the all-thread rod.
Oh, that's sweet.
All right,
That
that's
is
perfect.
sweet. That's, again, that's really good. I like that.
Now this anchor, we did it as a masonry anchor.
Right.
This also comes as a self-drill so that you can go into a steel beam.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So there's a lot of different varieties that you can get on this one. They also have it where you can do horizontal.
Yeah.
So if we were
Okay.
going in and we wanted to drill into the side of the block,
Right.
that you could actually do it on the side and then hang your rod that way.
So it
Yes.
so it has an angle on it.
Yep.
A 90-degree angle on it.
Perfect.
Oh, okay. All right. I like the variation on that.
I say there's so many different types of anchors. This only gives you this little bit, but you got a lot we can look at as far as application specific. So
A
perfect.
lot of good variation. So very good demonstration. Thank you for that, Keith. Appreciate that. Keith, that was a very good demonstration. You taught us a lot there. Make sure your holes are drilled correctly, cleaned out correctly, and different anchors for different applications. So in conclusion, mechanical anchors give you a wide range of options for different projects.
That is correct. You can use them for new and pre-existing concrete. And Randy, I noticed that on your slab, your contractor came in and poured in and used some mechanical anchors.
They
After the
did.
fact.
They did. They came in with their hammer drills and created a lot of dust in the shop here. And yes, they put bottom plates down that way. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an at-home solution there.
Sure.
So they are used at home, of course, but
Right.
also in complex infrastructures. So we see this in many types of building use.
Yes, high-rise buildings even.
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
absolutely. Mechanical anchors, wide range of products. Choose the one that works for your needs and your requirements. Assembling to just cured or pre-existing concrete or masonry? Mechanical anchors are a good choice, and that's worth knowing. We want to thank Keith Barrett from Würth Construction Services for sharing his expertise with us today.
You want to drill us with some questions? Leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll catch you all next time.